This is episode 2 of the We the Sheeple podcast. My name is Garrett Wells. This is my mom, Cheri Wells. And today there was some interesting breaking news all over the place. It just couldn't stop breaking today, and I don't think it will. I think there's going to probably be another news alert I'm going to have to do later, knowing the way the news usually goes in cycles like this. The first biggest thing was, I guess, was James Comey testifying before the Senate in open session. Before we get into that, an interesting factoid was thrown out. I don't know if it was by the Intel committee. I think it's the Intel committee, right? The Intel committee itself was the chairman said that they've met 9 times in open session this year, which is already like 3 times as many as they normally would in a year in session in Congress. So just an interesting little factoid there about how unprecedented this year in politics has been. But moving on to the actual substance today, the Comey hearing was a thing. So the first thing that Comey outright said was that he was concerned that Trump would lie, and that's why he started writing down in these memos what he was saying in their conversations that were supposed to be private conversations. So I'm going to throw to you reaction to Comey saying that Trump is a liar.
Well, I think I said what I said, and I won't say that on here, but it's like they're both going to say each other is lying, which Trump did in Trump's lawyer did in a later statement, basically said Comey was lying. So you don't really know who said what, but Comey's already lied in his testimony. Like the last Intel hearing, he lied. They had to go back and fix his testimony. And they tried to act like it was, oops, he accidentally made a mistake. Well, this guy, let's talk about Comey for a second. This guy's pretty accomplished dude. I mean, he was a U.S.
He was
the U.S. Southwest District.
He was the U.S.
New York attorney,
and he was the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York.
Right, and then what did I say it wrong? I'm sorry. And then he was the U.S. Deputy Attorney General. I mean, this guy, law is his life, basically. And then he's been the director for however many years. He was appointed by Bush and Obama both. And so he knows how this whole politician thing goes. The funniest thing I heard, it was hilarious. And I wish I could remember which dude said it. And I'm pretty sure it was CNN. The guy's like, Comey's not political. And if you watch the election unfold, which I did, like a bad slasher movie, he was so political. He did that and did what he did. I mean, oh wait, there's nothing to see here. Oh wait, there's something to see. Oh wait, just kidding. I mean, come on now. And so he wants to call Trump a liar. Well, he's a leaker. So liar, leaker, which is worse?
I think they're almost the same thing in a way. But so the next thing that we have is that Comey very heavily implied that the question of whether or not Trump asked him to go easy on Flynn was as cut and dry as everyone's been making it seem to be in the administration, that he didn't pressure Comey or anything like that to end the Flynn probe. But he made that implication today. For me, what I see from this is Comey's way of, because let's say he purposefully, because he was a Republican before, and we don't know that he's not going to have that same thought. He's an independent now. How do we know that he doesn't still swing to the right? So, I mean, there were literally liberal politicians accusing him of being a part of this whole big giant conspiracy. So when I see that, my immediate thought is, well, maybe the guy felt so pressured by the media and all the people out there that he felt like he needed to get this done. So maybe he tried to move through the Michael Flynn faster because he felt that pressure from Trump, or he felt like there was that pressure from Trump. So he would feel like what I'm basically trying to say is, I think that the guy may have still done what everyone's accusing him of doing, which is, not doing what he's supposed to do for Trump, essentially, which is what everyone was trying to say he was trying to get him to do. Because the way that Comey has spun this whole story is that he had always just been like, as soon as he knew this, he was writing everything down and he was making sure that he got it all documented so that he could get Trump. But like, it seems like the only person that's really saying the guy was would have ever considered ending the Flynn probe is him, right?
I mean, he took an oath to the American people, not to Trump.
True.
And bottom line, but this guy, I'm sorry, this guy eats pressure for breakfast. He's the director of the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He was a deputy attorney general who was a prosecutor. They dealt with nasty stuff. That's what they do. So that he said that he was intimidated or he should have spoke up and this, that, and the other. Well, you know what, dude? Come on now. You're going to tell me that your 7-foot butt was intimidated by Trump's 6-foot butt. I just don't see it. Well, you're with the president. So, I mean, the guy's a dude, and this guy's more of a politician than Trump is. So you cannot tell me that he did not know what he was doing, that he wasn't ever intimidated by Trump. He knew exactly what he was doing. He did the same thing with Loretta Lynch. Yeah. Loretta Lynch said, "Hey, man, wait.
Before you jump into that, that was another headline that came out of the testimony before the Senate today. He did confirm that Loretta Lynch had asked him to call the Clinton investigation a matter instead of an investigation. And the implication with that is that they were trying to limit the scope of what people were viewing that investigation as. Well, not as an investigation at all. So go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
well, exactly what he said, and he did that to make sure he could keep his job, to protect his job. No, he did that to keep that in his back pocket. You know, it's like when you have a sibling and you catch them doing something they're not supposed to, and you go, "Hey, man, I'm not going to go tell on you now, but the next time something happens, I'm going to pull that out of my back pocket." And that's exactly what Comey did. He did it to Lynch, and he did it. Who knows who all he did it to, who he had to use that against. But Lynch and Trump so far are those. And I don't even believe, I don't believe Comey is testifying under oath. He has lied under oath. So anything he really said today, I don't really think that is real. I think that he is out there for his agenda. He has his own agenda. He's going to write a book. And then after he writes a book, he may go into politics. And people would probably elect him. I mean, when he came out about Hillary Clinton, right before like in October 28th, I believe was the date, man, Democrats hated that dude. They said he has no credit. Now they're saying he's credible. And everybody's saying that he set himself up to be credible. Well, yeah, because he wants to seem credible, but he is definitely not credible. That's like asking I can't even think of a good example because it just blows my mind that people think he's credible. It's like going back to the person that lied to you over and over again and asking them for the truth. It's just not possible. I don't think so.
The another thing that came out of that testimony today that I reported earlier, if you want to go back and look at my breaking news alerts for the stuff that came out today, they're still up. So Comey did not tell Sessions, whom he was supposed to report to at the time, that he had been in these private meetings and what had been said in these private meetings with the president, because he was planning to recuse himself, which to me sounds like a bad excuse for not telling the guy that would need to know. Because even if he's recusing himself, couldn't he have just gone to, well, the bad thing is at the time there was an acting deputy whom I don't know if he knew he could trust or not, because I assume it was one of the Obama's Democrats because it was an acting one.
He didn't have anything on that dude.
Yeah, and so because Rosenstein hadn't been approved by the Senate yet.
But really,
but anyway, what I was getting at was that Comey basically kept it to himself when there were people he should have told in this situation what had happened in these private meetings with Trump.
I mean, Coates. He could have went to Coates. He could have went to the can't remember the other guy's name.
Admiral Rogers.
Yeah, Roger. He could have went to Rogers.
Mike Pompeo of the CIA.
Any of those people, but he chose not to because he put it in his back pocket. And when
Andrew McCabe, the deputy director of the FBI.
He says he shared with his constituents, but they were probably his aides.
Right.
He directed his friends to leak information to the journalists. That should be it right there. That should be, okay, you're done. You don't count. Fake news, go away. Because he purposely leaked. It makes me, it grosses me out. That's the swamp. I don't know I really don't. If you agree with Trump or you don't agree with Trump, the politicians in Washington are disgustingly slimy. Every last one of them. We have nicknames for so many of them. Because they're just so gross. And he is part of that grossness. Like he said, they met 9 times. And so what's wrong with our government? Obviously. But he leaked information on purpose to reporters, but not directly, but indirectly. But go ahead. But really, no. Go ahead.
If you would like to read the Comey testimony, by the way, for yourself to draw your own conclusions, it is in the description linked to the CNN article that I read off in the stream that you can read for yourself. You can also read it on the screen. I think it's big enough. But if you want to draw your own conclusions on his testimony today, and I'm sure there's probably written record of what all the questions he answered and what responses he gave to. If you would like to look at the testimony responses and questions himself from the Senate Intel Committee. But him leaking his memos is something I reported earlier today, and it's just it's an awful thing to do in the government. When you're talking about a guy that was probably one of the guys investigating leaks in the government, he's leaking stuff now. Like, well, where have we come to as a society?
If you can't trust the obviously you can't trust the FBI because they're all doing their own thing. The only thing that I heard true on the news today, other than the actual factual things that I wrote down or whatever, was this guy said he was on MSNBC and he was just some dude in somewhere. He was a professor of law probably, but he said it was a sad day, and he is right. It is a sad day because no matter which way you look at it, whether you're a liberal, you're a Republican, if you're an independent, if whatever you identify in your politics, you can make what Comey said to fit what you think already is. He gave vague statements. Some of them were the ones that he wanted to take shots at Trump for. They said that he didn't, but he really did when he called him a liar. I mean, he made himself seem credible after not being credible, which was pretty good job because most of the reporters said, oh yeah, he's a good guy, he's credible, blah blah blah, whatever. But really he's not in my eyes. I wouldn't trust him with a $10 bill, because he'll figure out how to use that against you, and that's what he does. That's the type of person he is. And I'm sure we'll see more and more of him, because it was a dog and pony show. They wanted the American people to know, you can know this much. Now we're going to go to the classified meeting that you can't know about, that you'll never know about, and they'll just go away, just like it always does.
And that's pretty sad. So the last thing that I have listed from the hearing itself was that Comey, while he was investigating Hillary Clinton, did consider, and I believe Congress even asked for, special counsel to be elected, and Loretta Lynch just said no. So there's that. I mean, that
back pocket. He kept that in his back pocket.
He did. And we're here to report the news. We're also here to give opinion. Please don't conflate the two shows on this channel, because the news stuff, that's all factual reporting. So when you come on here and you see my opinion, don't assume that has anything to do with what I post, especially breaking news alerts and stuff like that, because I'm just here to report the facts. It says if you read our channel description, that's the statement I put out to the world when I made this channel. So all these things put together make a pretty disjointed, disconnected story at this point, which over the first, what has it been, 4 or 5 months of the administration now? 6 months. 6 months of the administration now. It's June. So well, he was in January. Yeah, five months in office, and this is still the biggest topic, the Trump-Russia scandal. The reaction from the lawyers today wasn't even much. They're only talking about Trump's lawyer and what mistakes he made. They're praising Comey for the stuff that he did today. The lawyer is talking about how bad leaks are and how Comey is an admitted leaker now. They've stated outright Trump never demanded loyalty from Comey, and they also never pressured Comey into doing anything. I think they also made the blanket statement that Trump has never tried to pressure anyone into doing anything or something.
Something to that effect.
I mean, it was bad. It was bad. It wasn't good. They're tearing him apart right now in the mainstream media. That includes Fox News. They're just ripping him to shreds. With very little evidence other than the testimony of a guy who's admitted, I don't want to say he's admitted, but he at least talked about having set up a system to get that stuff out there from friends of his at the FBI, essentially. So take that with whatever grain of salt you will. I don't know how to follow that.
I mean, there's nothing really to follow on it. They came out, Jim Comey came out, said Trump's a liar, and he admitted to leaking, and he made a couple statements that could possibly be considered obstruction if you look at it that way. And then the lawyer Kowalski, I think, the lawyer for Trump came out and said, basically, James Comey's a liar. We didn't do that. I've never demanded this. I've never demanded that. Oh, yeah, by the way, he's the leaker. He admitted it. You know, could we do something about that? Kind of. They didn't really say that, but, you know, he's an admitted leaker, bottom line. And so I guess it's just a big mess, you know? A sad day.
And no matter and it's like I said earlier in the other video, no matter what side you look at this from, and this is what we learned in that statement which was released yesterday, was that it's going to benefit both sides what he says. He's still playing both halves with no real remorse for what that means for the country, which is only going to be set to divide us more and make us more susceptible to whatever it is that these people want us to do, whatever that dream of theirs is. I really don't have anything more to say. This has been episode 2 of the We the Sheeple podcast. If you want to stay with the late and breaking news here on CNG News, subscribe and put on notifications so you get notification every time we go live. This is craziness. If some more news shall break out, then you'll see me breaking in like I normally do on here. I've been doing it over the last couple of days, and I'll continue to do so as new news drops. This has been episode 2 of the We the Sheeple podcast. Later.